As you know, the situation in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories continues to change rapidly. As you know, we have been working on assisted departure for Australians affected by the situation in Israel and in Gaza. Last night it was very disappointing that we were in a position where flights had to be cancelled. But as I said at the time, we are persisting in pursuing all options to help our fellow Australians. This afternoon I can confirm that the Australian Government is planning multiple flights to depart from Tel Aviv today for Australians wanting to leave. This is a mixture of government chartered and Air Force planes. I want to stress these flights remain subject to factors including the security environment, and I'm not in a position to go into details for operational and security reasons. We are also coordinating options with partners who are helping their own citizens with departures. For Australians to leave, I repeat the message that I have given over a number of days. If you wish to leave, we strongly encourage you to take the first option that becomes available to you. Please do not wait for a different option. The Government is also working with commercial carriers to arrange flights to assist travellers with their onward journeys, including from Dubai to Australia. Registered Australians will hear directly today as flights are confirmed. We are continuing to work on options for Australians wanting to leave the occupied Palestinian territories. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is of serious concern and continues to deteriorate. Australia is providing an initial $10 million in humanitarian assistance for civilians affected by the conflict in Gaza to fund urgent needs like medical support, emergency water, nutrition, sanitation and hygiene services. We again call for safe and unimpeded humanitarian access to civilians affected by the worsening humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Australia's $10 million donation will go in part to UNICEF, this is the UN Children's Fund, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and a component to UN operations to enable logistics to ensure it can be brought into where it is required. We are engaging regularly with counterparts to continue to press for safe and unimpeded access to civilians affected by this humanitarian crisis, and we support the work of the United States, Egypt and others towards the establishment of a corridor to enable humanitarian needs to be met. I again say this: we stand with Israel. We reiterate Israel's right to defend itself. We unequivocally condemn Hamas for these evil attacks. We also echo calls from around the world, including from President Biden, for Israel to operate by the rules of war in its response to Hamas attacks. We have already witnessed a devastating loss of life, and innocent civilians on all sides are suffering. Australia's consistent position in all contexts is to call for the protection of civilian lives and the observation of international humanitarian law. If I may turn now to travel advice. As you know, earlier this week we updated the travel advice for Israel, Gaza and the Gaza border. For Israel, the travel advice is reconsider need to travel. For Gaza and the Gaza border, it is do not travel. Please continue to observe Smart Traveller for any further updates to advice. There's also been an update to our travel advice for Lebanon today. The existing travel advice for Lebanon is reconsider your need to travel due to the security environment. I am now saying to Australians, if you are in Lebanon, you should consider whether your need to remain there is essential. Again, if you are in Lebanon, please consider whether your need to remain there is essential. If you wish to leave, you should note that a crisis could limit commercial options for departure, and you should consider the first available option. If you need emergency consular assistance, please contact the Australian Government Consular Emergency Centre, which is operating on a 24-hour basis. 612-6261-3305, 612-6261-3305 if you are overseas. In relation to Gaza, I can also indicate this. We are obviously doing all we can in a very difficult situation to facilitate departure for those Australians in Gaza who wish to leave. And again reiterate, we support the work being done by Egypt and others to make the crossing available for humanitarian purposes, including the outward passage of civilians. We have engaged, including me personally, with our Egyptian counterparts and the Israelis to this end. officials in Cairo and in the region are engaging in support of these efforts. Yesterday, a proposed window for approved foreign nationals to cross through the Rafah border did not eventuate, and the Rafah border remains closed at this time. I want to say I know how distressing this is for Australians in Gaza, and I want to reiterate our commitment to do everything we can with others to ensure that the border is open.